Good morning, tribal dancers. How are you all doing today? Sunday on the sofa. Yum, hot. I've realized that y'all can hear me when I swallow because I went back and watched one. Who knew? Such a good microphone. Anyway, last week we were talking about Larry, right? My darling opossum. And I didn't know a lot of stuff, so I needed to go and learn a few things. So I did. Yep. I dove deep into the burrow of an opossum hole. So, first of all, let me clarify Larry is definitely a Larry and not a Lucy. And the males are called Jacks and the females are called Jills, just like kangaroos, because they're marsupials. So, the male opossum does not have a pouch except for one variety. And I didn't know that there was a variety of water opossum. Now, water opossums, both male and female, have a pouch. The male has it to protect his genitals. Guess the water gets cold. But I digress. Anyway, so just the females have the pouch, and they're the ones that, of course, carry the babies for about 7 to 8 weeks. Where with a kangaroo, I know that they can live in that pouch for up to a year or use it for about a year before it becomes independent. Anyway, for both of them, it's the same thing. It's a little teeny tiny baby that is given birth and has to crawl blindly up to find the pouch in order to find the nurture and the warmth and protection of its mother's pouch. So her nipples are hidden inside of there. Pretty cool. So it is Larry, and their biggest fear, and I don't know if it's their greatest predator because I know coyotes will go after them. But a coyote is in the dog family, and that's their biggest fear are dogs and cats. And they will not attack, which I can testify to, as many times as even my little grizzly has gone out there and just gotten right up in his face. He'll hiss and maybe even screech. But when I'm there, Larry feels protected by me because he knows I'm yelling at the dogs and trying to get them away from him, which happened the other night on a very, very cold night. I thought that Larry had left, so I let the dogs out. Now, even though I had the Christmas lights on back there, he was hiding underneath one of the yew bushes, and they found him, and it was a 20-minute screaming match between me and Grizzly to get him off and away from Larry so Larry could scoot away, which finally did happen. Anyway, I just thought that that was so interesting. So there's so many cool things about them. They are nomadic, and they tend to have a burrow in particular for the winter, a steady place to curl up, which I'm pretty sure is safely tucked under this shed. It's like a half barn on my neighbor's property. And a lot of times rabbits live under there as well. They will cohabitate, but they like to go and curl up high in trees, on rooftops, in attics, in barns, in areas where they can just get away and feel protected and safe through the night, of course. And they curl up in a ball So we know that. And another fascinating thing is that they are as intelligent as pigs. And now we know that pigs are some of the smartest creatures on Earth. In fact, it's been deemed it is the smartest creature on Earth. And I often felt that way instinctively about opossums. So if an opossum comes to visit you and finds refuge on your property, especially during the winter, it's certainly okay to throw some food out there for them. They're omnivores, they'll eat anything. So eggs, cheese, they'll go after birds, little animals, bugs, snails. But the best thing is they will help you keep your property clear of vermin, the mice and the rats that can get in and cause damage to your home. And so between all the barn cats that are in this area and my neighbor's 2 domestic cats who come into my garage and jump in my open car window and spray my car. That was 5 years ago, and it took me almost all this time to get rid of the odor. One got in the house day before yesterday, or not in the house, but into my garage while I was out trying to get the mail and stuff, and sprayed, and I didn't notice the odor until nighttime when the garage was getting colder, and the entry door to come into the house from the garage, the odor started seeping in through the cracks. But it seems to finally have dissipated. But last night it was still pretty strong. But this morning it's gone. Thank goodness. So I find this very interesting because if you didn't watch Annie Bear's interview with Nancy Jean yesterday, please go watch it. It's very good. And one of the things that we know about possums is that they play dead. And we know how to play possum because of that. And it is our term because of that. But the thing is it is their intellect. It is their approach to avoiding conflict. It is their gentle approach, their intelligent approach, which is like planets being retrograde, any planet, not just Mercury, any planet retrograde. Think twice, act once. And so the other thing is that they are sending you messages. Where are you holding back that you shouldn't be? But this one I love the most because it really coincides with what Annie said yesterday on the interview with Nancy Jean. Annie had mentioned that there's 2 ways of speaking when you have something to say to somebody. And the first way, one way, not the first way, but one way is the European way, where it's right up in your face, which is what she did. She went, rah, 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 rah. And then there is the indigenous way, the opossum way, which is saddling up to the side and giving a conversation. And I've noticed conversation. Well, maybe I have seen this because of this. And it is helpful, and it is polite, and it is non-threatening, as an opossum is non-threatening. Back when I lived in Virginia, I had a big old lab white German Shepherd mix. His name was Buddy. He was the Frisbee dog. I think I kind of told you about him before, that my he would get out. He was a Houdini. He could get out of anything and jump fences and jump so high in the sky. In fact, next week I'll try to remember to bring a picture of him to you. I had taken a picture during the winter where I'd thrown the frisbee and snapped the shutter in just the right amount of time. This was with my 35 millimeter. And he's stretched out, teeth bared, just about to grab that frisbee. Great photo. So I'll hopefully remember to bring it next week. But I digress. So he would leave the yard during the summer, hop a fence with a frisbee in his mouth, and walk around the neighborhood looking for somebody to play frisbee with him. And my mailman, Dave, he was such a nice guy. And it was back in the day where you got to know your mailman, which here I'm lucky and fortunate enough to do that. But he would stand and talk. They had time. There was no pressure on them. And he would bring Buddy home when he found him in the neighborhood. In Virginia, we lived in what is pretty much called a closed neighborhood. There's like two ways you can get in or out. But once you're inside, you're kind of trapped if you don't know the fish hook to get you back out. So it was like if somebody did something sneaky, they could be stuck for a while trying to figure out the little maze. It's kind of cool. Anyway, it did make for a very close-knit neighborhood where people interacted and pretty much everybody loved everybody. But I loved Buddy. He'd bring me home opossums. And of course, thinking that they're dead, I would go and get a shovel and start digging a hole and then go get the shovel to pick up this creature. And it would bare its teeth the minute I went to slide a shovel underneath it. So the very first time this happened, I did that and I saw these teeth and I went back in the house and stared out my dining room window and watched for 30 minutes while this possum, who had been lying on its side, slowly turned over, legs in the air, legs going down to the other side, tucked under his body, and took off and disappeared so quickly that in a blink of an eye, he was gone. Well, maybe two blinks. But he traveled so quickly. It was almost hilarious because there you saw the whole demonstration of taking your time, being patient, and understanding that you don't always have to get in somebody's face to win the war. I need a sip with that. Excuse me. So, there's one other thing I want to talk about because a lot of people don't know this, and having grown up Catholic, there's a lot of Catholics who don't know this also. Tomorrow is December 8th. It's the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. It's the celebration of the life of Mary, the mother of Yeshua, and this whole nativity that we are about to begin to celebrate. And what people don't understand is that the Immaculate Conception is not about how she conceived Yeshua. It's not that at all. It's how she was conceived by Joachim and Anna, her mother and her father. Joachim is also sometimes called Joachim, and he was elderly, or so the story goes. and beyond the years of bearing children, both of them. And miraculously, Anna became pregnant. That isn't the Immaculate Conception in itself. What the Immaculate Conception means is that Mary was conceived without original sin. The original sin that is the stain on all human souls that we are supposed to be here to get rid of. Well, there may be truth to the fact that we have a stain we need to get rid of. We know that we make these soul contracts. And there are things that we come back to learn lessons about and get rid of karma for. So the stain of original sin could be a metaphor for all of that. I taught CCD, which is Catholic Catechism classes. And I taught first to the confirmandi, which is the 12-year-old who's getting ready to make their confirmation in the Catholic Church. And then I taught the littles, the first graders. And there are so many different ways to tell this story. But the easiest one is to always make sure that people understand that this is about Mary's life and that she didn't have any karma to get rid of. Now, the truth about Anna is that she had 3 marriages and 3 daughters and was very wealthy herself. But there's also all that dedication that goes on in the Jewish faith, especially in the old ways, in the ways of Abraham. So there's so much to be talked about with that. But tomorrow is a day set aside for the celebration of the divine feminine. No matter what faith you do or do not practice, it is a good time to bring in this energy. So December 5th was Krampus night. So I hope y'all survived the bells and the jingles and the black coal and the coming to get you if you don't watch out feelings of the night. And then yesterday was St. Nicholas's Day, Santa Claus's Day, which I hope y'all let some carrots out for the deer, because that's the night you're supposed to put carrots in your clogs so that Nicholas can feed the deer and they leave you a candy cane behind. Sometimes we got oranges. Sometimes we got walnuts and shells. Back when it was fashionable to get nuts in shells, that was their own little case so they didn't go stale on you. Anyway, so tomorrow let's celebrate the divine feminine. Do something special for yourself. Do something special for your divine masculine self. Do something special for your divine masculine friends and your divine feminine friends. Even if it's just in that one moment where you put your hand on your heart and imagine the great blue light, the great white light of divine guidance and divine grace entering your field, surrounding you with protection and helping you develop the opossum calm that you truly hold within. One more sip together. can, and I will. Coffee splattered all over the cup because I made it too full when I carried it on over to the sofa. Blessings, everybody. See you tomorrow.